difficulties. Yay, we're here. It's Friday night. Happy Friday night, friends. All right, I wanted to pop on here real quick. Let me get my iPad so I can get the comments over here while I look over here. But welcome, talk amongst yourselves. How was everybody's Friday? Any big plans for the weekend? Are you just going to catch up on your knitting? I know. I wish it was going to rain all day and then I would feel like you could just sit on the couch and yay. Okay, good. I got my comments. Lucille is here. Zan is here. Gwen is here. Hello, everyone. Hello, my friends. And you don't even know, but look, I brought after week 2 and you guys were asking all these questions and I didn't have all the answers. Hello, Julie. I felt like all the props are here. So ask me all the questions. I brought almost every Beanie I've ever knit is on the table that at least lives in my house. We're going to talk about this was the first one I did. There's problems. Hello from New Hampshire. This is one I've talked about before. And we're going to see it's got nice big points. And it's like way too big. Yeah, just a look, isn't it? That's one of my learning. Hello. We've got New Mexico, New Hampshire. I know Zan's in Tennessee. We've got lots of friends. It was so fun. Okay, so I put on Patreon just in case the trailer thing. I thought the trailer thing was going to work in front of the video. But I think it was just like a trailer in case you want to watch like a movie trailer. Not exactly what I thought, but I went and I put them pictures. You guys submitted some pictures. And so I created, it's about a minute and a half. Everybody gets 5 seconds. So what's that? Lots of people that were sharing all their fun. And so I went ahead and I put it on Patreon. So there's so many yummy, everybody's picking different color yarns. Everybody is learning so much. We've got lots of people that are just embracing the learn. And that's what it's about. And going from, the stitches are, oh, good. I'm so glad you watched the trailer. Yeah, that was so fun to put together. And it was so fun because I love that we can just see everybody's stuff all in one place. Okay, but Sarah had a great idea and we're totally going to do it. So y'all just start preparing for it. She said, how I wanted to do a group photo at the end. Okay, hold on. I'm going to read the comments and we're going to come back. So, I wanted to do a group photo at the end, but we can't because we're all all over the place. Sarah said, well, why don't you do like a Brady? Yes. So I'm going to create this little Brady Bunch slideshow. So if you're up for it, and I know my friend Lucille is because she already sent me a selfie with her ribbing on, which is adorable. So we're going to do a little selfie, a little Brady Bunch montage video thing at the end of the Beanie-A-Long. But don't worry, we're going to talk about it. We talked about it last week, how this is week 3. I actually edited the week 4 video today. That's a monster. I'm just going to tell you. Ooh, wait. Here is, I think I showed it on Instagram stories. So this is the beanie I finished for week 4 to do when I filmed the video to teach everybody how to do the crown decreases. And so, we went from here, we did the thing, we finished, and this is the one I finished. Only because this one wasn't ready to go last Sunday. And I wanted to film week 3 and week 4 all in one day. It was a super long video shooting day, but I knew my to-do list just keeps getting longer, getting ready to leave for market. So all the things. Let's just talk knitting, shall we? I think that's a good intro. All the things. Okay, Lucille, I messed up. I used the wrong needle. Don't know how, so I just left it on mine. Will it all be the same? I'm bummed, but it happened. Oh, you mean you went round with your US 5? Is that what you mean? You didn't switch to your US 6 after ribbing? I'm thinking maybe that's what you mean by you used the wrong needle. So I just left it on mine, but it will all be the same. But I'm bummed it happened. I'm thinking let me know if that's what you mean. All it's going to mean is you're just going to be a little tighter. You can tell from your ribbing, it's going to be a little tighter. And so your hat, but the good thing is there's a lot of negative ease. And blocking is your friend. And so I'm going to wait and see if you can catch up. I think I figured out how to turn off the mid-roll video ads. So we shouldn't have ads slowing us down. But let me know if that's what you mean. And then we might talk about, yes, the ribbing. The ribbing, you used the wrong needle. So you used your 6 with your ribbing. I think that's going to be okay. It just means your ribbing's not going to be quite as, we'll see. I mean, I'll tell you, when you block it, blocking is definitely like magic. Because you can see how this one tapers in. This one's not blocked. Hello. So this one, you can tell, is not blocked, and it's got the little taper in. And then once I went to block this one, I got to give it a little stretch. And so all you're going to want to do when you're blocking, because yours, if you used the 6 on the ribbing, you used the 6 on the ribbing, but you stayed with the 6 for the body. Yes. Okay. So that's what I did on this one. It works just fine. This was my first hat ever from LFA, and you can tell it doesn't. First, I didn't do a fold over brim. I just did, because that wasn't the way the pattern. It's got this funny garter stitch panel. Not my favorite. Pretty, but it doesn't have the tapering, and it's only got a 1-inch band. It's just going to be a little more slouchy. It's just not. This is a totally different beanie, and it's got a nice point. So this is what we're going to talk about. This is one of my fails. Oh, look, my mama. Okay, so my mom, just so you know, she's choosing to come join our fun instead of watching the Clemson baseball game. Yeah, she's a super, like, if Clemson's playing a sport on the TV, she's watching it. Football, I'll watch the football. But she's like basketball and the baseball and all the things. She's like, do you know that your live is during the Clemson baseball game? I said, no, why would I know that? But tell your mom's here. She's probably watching both screens. Let's just be honest. But so you can see, it's got a nice point. See this point? That's because I didn't know what I was doing during the decrease. And we're going to talk about that. This coming up week is week 4 in the decrease, and making sure that you spread out your rounds. But one of the things I wanted to talk about that I talked about personally in a DM. Sorry to call you out, Zan, but we're going to talk about it. And it was a perfect example. And I wanted to it's a great story. And, oh, they're not doing very well. Oh, Clemson's not winning baseball. That's okay. Let's talk about knitting instead. It's way more fun. So math is hard. And when you're working on the PDF and you figure out your numbers, right? Okay, page 1. We're way past page 1. So you got your page 2 and page 3. Of course you are. Okay, so that's going to be week 4. But page 3, you're going to get these nice numbers. Now, Zan pointed out, mine are nice and round and pretty because that's just the way that my big head works, right? And so when Zan, her cute little tiny head, she was coming up with, you get fraction numbers. When you divide, 7.5, well, 7.5. When you divide 7.5 by 2, you get 3.875. And she's like, can you just check my math? Yes, you do have a tiny head. It's so cute. Okay, but so I told her, I was like, 3.875. Okay, first of all, we are not building a Rolex. This is not rocket science. And it's one of those things where when you're measuring stitches anyway, you got to give yourself a little grace. I've pulled out the ruler, and of course that's the one thing that's not on the table. Oh, it's probably in my project bag. There's probably a ruler in here. When we're measuring, when you're looking at the tops and the bottoms, is there? Yes. Okay, good. When you're looking at the top and the bottom of a stitch, like for example, here's where I am right now, right? And my numbers are 4.5, 4, and 2. 2 we're going to talk about later. That's next week. I don't want to overwhelm you. Because I just spent like half the day editing that video, and I just can't even think about it right now. But see, 4.5. There's a little bit of wiggle room. See, you can see, go up to the top, and the 4.5, does it end here, end there? It's close enough. As I say, it's close enough for government work. And so when you're measuring for your 4, find the bottom of your V and stretch up. And then, if you pull it, don't pull it, let it just grow. So it's one of those things where give yourself some grace. And I always say, hello, Nan. Did you see your hat is so cute? In the little trailer that I put on Patreon, you have to go check it out. So one of those things that I just told her, and that I was going to definitely told her, I'm going to tell you a story, and we're going to share it, is that I always err on the side of longer. Meaning, like mine was 4.5, 4, and 2. When I was knitting this one, I was probably at like 4.6, 4.2, this way. And then, well, the two I just finished up where I finished up. But these are the two I have to measure. And I always, you know, if it was between, ooh, can I stretch it and make it with not having to do another row? No, I went ahead and I did another row because I wanted to have, this is what I told her the story. And this is what I'm going to tell you, is that it's better to err on the side of longer. It's one of those things where you can't make it longer after you cut it, but you can make it shorter after you, you know, what's that saying? Friday nights are not my best time to be coming up with sayings. But the moral of the story is when you're blocking, you got some wiggle room and some work in your blocking, but then you also, if for any reason, so you can either just have it be a little slouchy at the top. It doesn't look quite as good with glasses. But if you have a little slouchy, little room or whatever, because, you know, we measured our head. We're going to talk about, you know, we measured our head, taught to our head, right? That was the ear to ear look. Well, so, you know, you can tell I've got a little poof in here. But if I wanted to pull it down, no problem. And then I can just roll up my band just a smidge. The reality is Patrick's been wearing this for most of the week, so it's probably stretched out a little bit to his head. But I always say err on the side of making your measurements, giving yourself that extra row. If you've got those funky fractions or funky decimal points, if you're using a calculator, because that's what I use. Yes, so it's one of those things where I just always, if it's not like obvious that I'm right there at the 4, I do another row. Just because I'd rather have it be one row longer. And the same thing, I'll give you a little preview. Week 4, there's a setup round, and we'll talk about the setup. It's all week 4, and you'll be like, okay, you just added a round in the middle, and that's okay. You know, one of these rounds, I don't know, measures 1/8 of an inch. At least that's my gauge. It's about 1/8 of an inch per round. Really, put another round in. Give yourself, you can have an extra little fold over. Your brim can be just a little taller. It's rather than, you know, if you make it too short, then you're going to have, then your brim's going to be a little too short, and which is fine also. You don't have to have a 2-inch brim, but that's how the pattern's written for a 2-inch brim. But then you end up seeing some of your pearl, like your full brim doesn't cover if it has to be shorter because your top isn't long enough. Make sense? The point of the story is err on the side of longer. That's it. That's the moral of the story. Err on the side of just one more row. I know it's not what you want to hear, but just add that another row. And then the same thing is, I did not put the blocking experience, the before and after. I took blocking before and after photos during my Instagram stories. I think I shared it before and after on the blocking mats and showed you guys how much it grew. And that's why when we were working on week 4, we're going to measure again with our gauge swatch. So hopefully you still have it handy somewhere. Because we're going to be you know, it's going to grow. It depends on your material. But if you're using a superwash merino wool, my experience is it grows. And it grows lengthwise. And maybe that's how, you know, you're not stretching when you're, but you have a little bit, when it's wet, you have a little bit of manipulation area where you can, you know, when you're flattening it out, do you flatten it out wider or longer? You know what I mean? It's just smoothing it out on your towel or your blocking mats. Your towel works fine. But, you know, so you're just smoothing it out after, you know, you have your wet blocked. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but I'm just giving you a little preview. Just because I won't be here next week. And that's my only thing, is I am going to go ahead and publish the week 4 Beanie-A-Long decrease video. Spoiler alert, it's over an hour. Oh my goodness. You're going to have to pause and come back, or take note of the timestamps. If I could figure out how to do that timestampy thing, I might add it to the description box, but I'm not quite sure I can watch it again. But because it's gonna be it's a week. It's a week. But we're closing it up, and you're gonna get it done, and they're gonna have a beautiful beanie. And so, but when you're blocking, after the beanie comes off the needles and we close it up and we do our pretty 8-point stars. See that nice? So that's all what next week is. We're going to make, see, you can see right here, see these little, I don't know, ridges? I don't know. They probably call them something in the knitting world. I don't know that acronym yet or whatever they call it, but I just call it like a little, it's a decrease ridge because we are decreasing 8 stitches per round. And you get this little, I call it an 8-point star, a little 8-point star that just, you decrease every time you go around. And then you get a little thing in the center, pop through the center. Anyway, don't want to spoil week 4. But then once it comes off the needles and you weave into all your ends, then you're going to block it, which is just like we did in the swatch. You're going to give it a nice soak, 15, 20 minutes, wool wash or not, whatever you want to do. The water will work just fine. Just make sure, you know, cold or follow whatever your yarn band tells you to do. And then you're going to block it. And that'll just let it bloom. Okay, let me see if I've missed any questions. I think some of them have popped up while I've been sitting here monologuing. You do have a tiny head, Zan. Hello, my friends. Oh, good. I'm glad the measuring clarification was helpful. When do you block the hat? Yes, you block the hat when it's all done, Lucille. So after you get through next week, which is going to be great. So I am going to, like I told you guys, the video is coming up on Monday, as always. But because I'm leaving for market first thing Wednesday morning, I will not be able to come and share with you or question with you. And I will be honest, I probably won't be like super responsive with any like specific questions. You guys have been sometimes DMing me and emailing me, which is great. I just know I'm going to be driving 8 hours and then marketing it up for like 3 days straight and then driving 8 hours home. So it's going to be a hot minute. So if you get stuck, just take a pause, put a pin in it. Don't either watch the video again and see if you can figure it out, or maybe go to Patreon and see if you guys can talk amongst yourselves and figure it out. Or worst case, I will be back next Monday and maybe we'll just go ahead and schedule the live for week 4, kind of like at the end or at the week 4 plus. I don't know what we're going to call it, but you know, everybody's got time. There's some overachievers named Amanda who have already finished their hat, but she's a knitter. So and she would just follow the directions and now she's got a perfectly hat, but she was a knitter. So she was able to follow my directions. If you are a totally newbie, no, the crown decrease can be a bear. And so, but this is some heavy fabric. Yeah. Oh, good. Yes. It's going to be so fun and market. I'm going to try to bring you guys along, via Instagram stories. I feel like I promise that every time I go to a retreat, and then my mama kind of slaps my wrist because I don't do it. And then I realize, well, I don't do it because I'm just like taking it all in and living in the moment. Oh, I'm shaking the camera. Oh, you got your DPNs today. Oh my gosh. My favorite. I mean, they're not my favorite. I've never been to market, so I'm super excited. Yeah, so the DPNs were definitely half of the video today. Well, the video week 4 is basically math, section 1. Section 2 is the actual decrease, still on the circular, and then we switch to the DPNs for the last 5 to 8 rounds. I don't even remember exactly, and then you close it up and it's done. Remember, if you're decreasing 8 stitches, so if you start, let's say my cast on was at 108, I'm going to go ahead and decrease 8 stitches every time go around. You know that the decreasing goes super fast because you're losing 8 stitches every time you go up. So, you know, 108. Well, you actually have to set up round. I'm not going to get into it. I had to get to 104 because it has to be divisible by 8. 108 is not divisible by 8. I know math. This is the whole section of the thing. The moral of the story is the crown decrease top, this little 2 inches of fabric goes very fast. It's just getting through the math for you to figure out what you do. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So as you saw in the trailer, we've got friends at all different stages. There were lots of friends. Oh no, don't be nervous. The DPNs really aren't that hard. They're really not. You just have to, it gets a little finicky because, and of course I don't have one on DPNs to even show you. This one's close, but you know, it's not hard at all. It's just instead of having 2 needles, you kind of have these needles sticking out, but you don't have to worry about them because the DPNs are, 6 inches long. and we're only putting about 2 inches worth of stitches, so in the middle. So you don't have to worry about having stoppers and losing your stitches because there's 2 inches on either side of the DPNs. And as long as you just go slow and steady, which is why I totally recommended the wood ones because they don't go slippity sliding off. Remember we talked about the difference between metal and wood and the slip and the stickiness of the wood. Anyway, so the DPNs, they're not going to be hard. I know lots of friends like Sue from Legacy Fiber Arts. Her actual choice of sock knitting is with DPNs. So rather than going round and round on a 9-inch circular or doing the magic loop, which we're not going to go there today, but she does DPNs with her socks. So, sometimes they're easier. So maybe you'll love them. I don't know. They'll be great. I'm super excited to market. So it's going to be my first time going to market, not to talk about, stitching on a knitting video, but we're all makers of all the things, right? So, first time going, super excited. I don't know. I don't even know what to expect. I'm just going to go have some fun. We'll see. We'll see if I can find something for the Keeper Club boxes. We'll see if I can find something. Probably that's it. That's what I'm looking for. Let's be honest. But so I brought, are there any other questions? Team DPN for socks. Oh, really? How fun is that? See, I'm thinking, I'll be honest with you. I have something coming in Etsy at some point. This is reinvigorating. I mean, I love a hat. Like I told you guys before, and that is not a story I tell. This is the true fact. This has always got a hat in it. Ooh. And so I definitely need to, does the future show us how to frog mistakes? Okay, so let's talk about, we're going to talk about a couple of, yes, no, I don't have that filmed. Let's talk about it now. And I've got this right here, and we're going to make a mistake and fix it. 1, 2, let's do it. So socks though. I wouldn't just squirrel. Socks. Yes. So I have ordered, because you've seen my sock. I think I've shown a couple socks that are like heel ready or heel done, but not. So I needed a sock ruler. I mean, I guess I thought I needed a sock ruler. We'll see. It's coming. And I think that once I get that, then I'm going to finish my sock. We'll see. I learned the 3-needle DPN, and most people do a 4-needle DPN for socks. Yeah. I did a 4-needle DPN for this thing, beanies. It's 5-needle actually. So are you talking 4 on and then the 5th goes around and around? But maybe not. Socks, what do you have, like 64, 72? I don't even remember. It's been a hot minute since I've done socks. Yeah. Sock along next. Oh, you're a brave woman. I mean, let me finish one first. Or it will be the blind leading the blind is what that will be. At least with this one, I feel kind of confident that I can answer your questions. But if we did a sock along, somebody else would have to come and be the guest speaker. I mean, the good news is I do have some friends that I could probably twist their arm and would come and would definitely be able to answer questions more than I can because I haven't finished one sock yet. Yes, learning together. Okay, listen, that's how this daggone Beanie-A-Long came along. Y'all just twisted my arm. I mean, doesn't take much. I'm going to finish the sock. My sock ruler is coming in. It's just super cute. Of course, I had to go on Etsy and get this adorable, cute, handmade one from this sheep farm in Virginia. It's adorable because it's just better when it's cute, right? So that's going to help me measure my sock. And then I'm going to finish it. I feel like a sock is just a smaller beanie. The only tricky part is the heel. A sock is just a smaller beanie because you got your cuff and then your, body, heel. And then you have to close it up like you do with the toe, right? In theory. I mean, sure. 3, and you use 1 to go round and round. Okay. Yeah. Yes, it's for the beanie, it's 4, and then the 5th is round and round. I don't know. Okay, so Gwen, you wanted to fix the mistake. All right, just shoved my knee into the side of my island. Pickles. I'm just glad I didn't yell a bad word. Okay, let's see. What can I do? Well, so this one I am just knitting. Was the name? My daughter is texting me. Can't tell her. So let's see. Let's see what. Okay, so, well, Gwen, I'm not quite sure. Tell us about your holder for the Orioles. Oh, I got somebody. Whoa, sorry, didn't mean to palm you. Sorry, talking so much makes me. What if you drop a stitch way back? How do you fix that? Okay. Okay, unfortunately, I don't have a drop stitch, so I purled when I should have knitted. Okay, these are great questions. Let's start at the beginning. What do I do if I drop a stitch way back? Okay, so this is what you're going to do. Let's imagine that I have a drop stitch, I don't know, 4 or 5 rows down right here. The first thing you want to do, and of course, I probably don't have it, but the first thing you want to do when you identify a drop stitch, no, okay. Here I was thinking I had everything at the table, but I know exactly where this is, so don't worry. Okay. The first thing you're going to do, oh, good, Lily figured it out. The first thing I'm going to do when you visually see, pickles, right here, somehow when you went around, you didn't catch it, right? Or you didn't, and so now it's just hanging out there by itself, just waiting to go, blah, blah, blah. No. Okay, so you're going to get one of these Gordy pins or a safety pin, whatever you got that you can open. Your stitch markers you can't open. But you're going to go ahead and grab that stitch and hold it there so it doesn't go down any further. Step 1, okay? Unfortunately, I'm not in an area where I can drop a stitch. I'd have to drop a stitch and then go all the way around and come back. So maybe I will make a note and see if I can get a video, a quickie swatch. I probably can. This weekend, I'm going to try to explain it to you here verbally. Unfortunately, I can't show you because I don't have that exact scenario mapped out right now. But maybe this weekend, I will knit a swatch for something and drop a stitch and come back and film a quickie thing on that. I'm sure. Yeah, we're going to do that. But the moral of the story, if you identify a drop stitch, the first thing you want to do is take one of your gourd pins and grab it to stop it from unrolling. So you're just going to snag those 2 points so the stitch stops rolling. So then what you're going to do when you get to the stitch, let's imagine it was in this row, right? I just came to and it was this row, this column, 3 rows back. Then you're going to take your needle, or you're going to take your yarn, and you can do it with a crochet hook, but you don't need to. And you're going to basically manually make your V's. See, I don't think I can visually say the words. But once you get to this stitch at the same column, you're going to take the yarn, because you're at the same column, go down on the inside, you won't see it, and you're going to manually make your V's, 1, 2, 3, 4, bring it back up, and you're going to create that stitch right back in the row. It doesn't help you, I'm thinking verbally. At least me, as a visual learner, I can imagine you're like, what did you just talk about? Yeah, not helpful. So I'm going to make a note. Mama, send me a text and remind me that I need to do that. So I'm going to do that. So yeah, that's how you do that. So when you drop a stitch, that was the drop a stitch. Okay, so Gwen. So I purled when I should have knitted. Well, okay, so you have 2 choices. This I can show you. It depends on how far did you realize your error pretty quickly, or are you like a couple rounds around? Oh, yay, Lucille, yay. Okay, it's very it holds hands with crochet, and I believe that you were a crocheter, so hopefully that makes sense. So, if you realize, pickles, I purled when I should have knit, and it was only like 4 stitches back, you can take your stitches off and go back. Now, Of course, I don't have the drop down camera, and here I am trying to show you how to do this. Okay, so I don't think this is gonna work, but we're gonna try it. So here I am, and I realized, oh, pickles, I did the wrong stitch, 2 stitches before. So you can undo 1 stitch at a time. It's kind of like frogging with stitching, but not, because you're working backwards. And me holding this thing sideways is not working. But yeah, I don't think this is going to work. I'm definitely going to need a top-down camera for our next live. So you can see I'm grabbing. This is the stitch. And so I'm kind of like unknitting backwards. But, so I can do that on a quickie video. But I'm thinking what you're asking me, you realize like maybe, I mean, you could probably figure out how to unstitch, right? You just go back and grab the yarn and then pull it out one at a time. But if you realize like 2 or 3 rows later, you have 2 choices. You either unstitch 108 stitches 2 or 3 rows, or you embrace it. You just embrace the uniqueness of your unique ribbing design. This is one of a kind. This is made by your 2 hands. This is not made by a factory, not made by a machine. You didn't crank this on one of those windy woody things and knit it by yourself. Oh no, these are your 2 hands knitting yarn one by one. So I say embrace it, embrace the uniqueness, but, or, you go back and undo. This also kind of holds hands. Are you Team Frog or Team Fudge? We talk about that on stitching all the time. I'm Team Fudge, so obviously I'm also Team Embrace the Uniqueness. It's like embrace the sparkle, Okay. I hope that helps. It probably doesn't. Okay. I have 2 questions. Do you have to use 2 different needle sizes, or can't you just use the same needle and just do different stitches? Different stitches. We're knitting and purling. That's the only 2 stitches we're doing. If you wanted to just use one, and so we talked about this, I talked about this a little bit earlier in today's live. For example, this beanie was knit all on a US 6 because this was my first beanie ever. I had 1 ball of yarn, 1 cake of yarn that I balled. I wind up this is me winding up with, okay, so this was my beanie number 1. And so this was all of a US 6. So you can just see that the ribbing and the body, there's no negative ease. So sure, you can do whatever you want. I mean, there's no knitting police. Just know that's what you're going to get. My preference, my experience and preference with knitting is to have a little bit, and this is a blocked one too. This is the difference between a 6 and a 5. You just get a little bit of negative ease, and that just gives you that nice, ooh, this fits nice and good and not loosey-goosey. But it's not loosey-goosey, but you know what I mean? So that's the advantages of switching down for your ribbing. And it's one of those things where, this is not something, again, not reinventing the wheel. There's lots of knitters when you're doing a ribbing like this. I didn't knit this. This is store-bought. Sure would be cool though, huh? So this is ribbing. And so whenever you're in the pattern, well, this isn't ribbing, but when you have a little cuff on a sweater, that's always, you drop either 1 or even 2 needle sizes because you want that to be a nice sticky band. Or, the negative easy, it's not sticky. Anyway, I hope that helps. I don't know. Oh, Gwen, you did that in 3 places. Hold on. I'm a very slow knitter. It takes me about 25 minutes to go around once. Is that normal for beginners? I'm hoping that you will speed up. You will definitely speed up 100%. But again, it's not a race. They're just like with stitching. There are people with needles on fire, and there's people that, aren't. And as long as you're enjoying yourself, then that's awesome. One of those things, I tell you, and I feel like I say this like I'm on a repeat sometimes, is that it will become, I can't start knitting. I'm not good enough to knit and not look. There are people that I watch that can just like do and talk to you and not even look. I'm not that good yet. One day Hashtag goals. But so I can definitely relate to what you're saying because, you know, I would have to think about every stitch. So you'd have to stick the needle and do that. And then you're like, okay, wrap it around and do the thing. But so now my fingers, you know, my holding of my fingers and the wrap, that's like muscle memory. And so I definitely am a firm believer of muscle memory. I used to throw pottery. And so that's something my pottery teacher, what she would say all the time. She goes, you know, in a year from now, you won't even have to think about what you're doing because your hands will just know, like you pull up and you do this, and that's has to do with pottery. So again, I think it's totally relatable in all the making ideas and the making genres and disciplines. At some point, you won't even have to think about, okay, knit in and on and wrap and do. Your hands and your muscles will just know what to do. And then I'm not going to promise you're going to be Lightning McQueen, but you might go a little faster. But as long as you're having fun, hopefully you are, you'll be great. I didn't drop a stitch, just asking because I'm sure it will happen. Okay, good. Well, when you do, hopefully that helps. If not, I will, because my mom is going to text me. I'm going to shoot one of those little quickie videos. I want to swatch a new sweater this summer. This summer. Oh, I wish it was summer. I'm going to swatch a new sweater this weekend, I think. So I'll do a little oopsie daisy swatchy thing. How can I get that yarn you are using? This one or this one? I'll tell you both. This is, hold on. Legacy Fiber Arts. This is Legacy Fiber Arts. The color is Griswold Christmas. Unfortunately, Sue, I won't say retires some colors. So I'm not quite sure if this is one of the colors she's retired from previous Christmases, because they do an Advent box every year. And so they have 25 new pretty colors of Christmas. And so I don't know if in one of her new colorways of Christmas, if there's something comparable, but this is, oh, this feels so good. This is Legacy Fiber Arts Sue. She dyes the LFA linens that we talk about with stitching too. Her and her daughter Chelsea dye this, and that's what this one is. This one, this rainbow, I call it Easter egg, is, do I have the ball band? One would think I would, wouldn't you? No, but I have my snack bar. This is the name of the indie dyer is Stitching with Yarn. There's no G, it's Stitching with Yarn. She was, if you go back, she was one of my featured yarn dyers during the 12 days of Stitchmas this past go round. So I follow her on Instagram. You can probably go into the 12 days of Stitchmas bubble highlights on my Instagram and you will see her, or you just go to Instagram. She's on Instagram, Stitching with Yarn. You can find her, or she sells on Etsy. I just know sometimes it's hard to search for things on Etsy because if the shop spacing doesn't match exactly, like Stitching with Yarn, I don't remember if there's a space or a period or a dash or whatever, and Etsy's not super helpful, I found, with the search. So sometimes I find it's easier to go search in Instagram because they are a little more friendly, and then you see her. And then you can hop on over. It'll take you to her Etsy shop. And it's called Sugar Rush. Now, she's also an indie dyer. And I bought this one when I was down in Clemson with Noah for a week. So I affectionately call that Appendix Week. So that was in January. So unfortunately, it was about a month ago. And she's one of those that dyes a release and then moves on and dyes something else. So I don't know if she's going to have this exact one. But I do know that just this week she was sharing that she's, what she called Magically Delicious. It's basically a different version of the Rainbow Awesome Sauce. That's just her jam, Stitching with Yarn. It's Christy. She's super great. So that's that. That is, I went 2 more rows. Oh, for your pearl and your, a design element. Yes. It's exactly it. Listen, that's how these things get creative. That's how I think these designers come up with all these things. They're like, oh, wait, I did that on purpose. Totally did that. And doesn't it look great? Yeah, it does. Team Embrace It. Yes, Team Embrace It. Team Fudge. I'm working on shirts. It's going to be great. Mine is a hot mess, but I told my husband, I don't care. I'm still wearing it. Wear it with pride too, sister, because it's super cute. The green is gorgeous. And it's going to, listen, I wear this one still. I wear it all the time. And it's got basically, you know, a cone point. I don't even know what I did. Don't even know what I did. I mean, I do know what I did. I do know what I did. You want to? No, I can't tell you. It'll overwhelm you. I just know not to do that again. I know how not to do it. And the way I'm going to teach you to decrease, you won't do that. That's the moral of the story. You're getting a nice, round, non-pointy dunce hattie. Do you see? We won't do that. Got a little thing at the top. Yeah, no. Hot mess. Yes. I think you don't get the definition. Looks wise, kind of. Mine is turning out I used the wrong needle. I pretty much have to say it every time. Knit 2, purl 2. Yes. Okay, knit 2, purl 2. It's tricky. It's tricky. And I always, still when I was doing that, like I talk about all the time, the body is definitely my favorite part. And because then you really don't have to think about it. And I definitely, if I'm doing something else, when I'm doing the ribbing, I have to either read my stitches, you know, just watch for the purl bumps. Okay, purl bump, no bump, no bump. Purl bump, no bump. Yeah, or you can talk to yourself, knit 2, purl 2, knit, purl. Either way works. It was slow, but I'm embracing the learning process. Thank you. Oh, good. Yes, I'm so excited. Yes, embrace it. Oh, good. My mom's going to text me. Where is the knitting store in Clemson and Anderson? There isn't one. Actually, there is one in Seneca. My mom and I went to it. I won't even tell you what it was called because bless her heart, it wasn't my favorite. So there isn't a store in Clemson. I wish there was. I bought it online when I was at Clemson, which is, you're probably like, what are you talking about? Yes. So I remembered that I bought during Appendix Week, not when I was shopping in Clemson, when I was taking a break on the computer, online, retail therapy online shopping. You know, you relieve stress somehow when you're doing with all those things. Sometimes just buying pretty yarn and knowing it's going to be home when you get home was stress relieving. So that's what I did. I was shopping Etsy. So she's on Etsy. She doesn't sell brick and mortar. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Yeah, seeing the purl bumps is definitely going to be a game changer. And when it's going to be a skill and that you're going to use later on in making all the things, whether you're making shawls. Did you guys see? Okay. Speaking of buying pretty yarn, I almost did it. And they're having like a birthday celebration this weekend. So let's just be honest with ourselves. Chances are I am going to do it. But Rachel from Treehouse Fiber Arts, she's one of my, favorite friends to follow on Instagram and all the knitting. And her and Sue just did a podcast that was actually on my TV today while I was sewing. But she shared on Instagram, if you don't follow her, you need to, take a look, see. She shared a shawl this week. I basically asked her, didn't she want to send it to me? She does not. Okay, but it is like, it was beautiful yarn. And let's just talk beautiful yarn for a minute. Okay, so see this? So see this? It is hand spun. So you can see, so there's this, right? This is a DK. This is, this is Merino DK that Christy dyed. It's gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful. This, see, it's called like a I don't even know what I'm talking about. Barber pole. You can see that, right? Like a candy cane. So it's like it has to do with spinning. I am just now entering the spinning world. Really have no idea what I'm talking about. Haven't even taken the spinning wheel out of the bag, but I can buy the pretty yarn, right? So you can see this is pinks and purples, and then it's twisted with white. Anyway, Rachel knit this beautiful Andrea Renee knits. It's Andrea Mallory is the knitting designer. Also, eye candy galore if you want to follow her. Beautiful, beautiful patterns. I haven't knit one yet. I've bought a couple of them. I bought like 4 of her sweater patterns. I haven't knit one. Maybe that's the one I'll do this weekend. But it's this beautiful like cow. I'm not a big scarf, you know, just long, wrap it around, choke yourself thing. It's kind of like a cow. You know, we talked about how a cow was kind of like a beanie just with this top knot. Anyway, it's this beautiful cow. The moral of the story is it's a beautiful cow in like the most beautiful magenta-y, purple, red. The yarn is gorgeous. I immediately said, okie dokie, let's talk about this yarn. She got it don't go buy it all because I'm going to go buy myself. Rachel needed 2.5 skeins just in case we want a shawl long necks. I almost did it last night, but I guess I didn't need retail therapy last night. Maybe I do tonight. Beautiful, beautiful yarn. But 2.5 skeins. It was DK weight, 100 grams, hand spun in Vermont. It was gorgeous. By the time I finish it, it'll be 90 degrees here, but it'll be great next fall. Anyway, where's the need for? That's how we learn. Oh, thank you so much. Hanging the pearl bumps. Yes. That's what I didn't want to do. Just make sure to knit the same stitch you did this time. Yes. Oh, you're so sweet. You'll be spinning soon enough. Oh, hello, Miss Shelley. I am. Well, I know I'll be spinning in May. Before that, I don't know. But I'll put my wheel in the car in May. And I know we're gonna get to trouble with that. But in the meantime, I might just have to buy more yarn that's already spun up all pretty like. Woo, I don't know. So we'll see. I know it's got that pretty point. And Rachel actually had a different cowl on that she made. She does this color work, and that's the only thing that scares me. I've never done color work. She said it wasn't hard. Sounds kind of scary to me, but she said it wasn't. I'm not quite sure I believe her. But she had a beautiful cowl on shawl. Cowl. See, shawl, I describe a shawl as like one of those, I guess that's a wrap, where you put it over your shoulders and you wrap it around and you do the thing. A cowl is like a closed-in tubey. Anyway, I don't know what you call it, but she had a beautiful one on during her floss tube that she had with Sue too this week. So 2 beautiful pieces of eye candy. All just knit on circular needles. Besides the color work aspect of it, which, you know, I don't know how to do that either. But if you buy the pretty yarn that basically does all the pretty changing color work for you, fabulous. Okay. I know. You bought another. Welcome. You're gonna be making beanies. I know. I was just telling Patrick because, you know, he's this one was his. This was the first one I did, right? So I did this one when I was writing the pattern just to test my theory. And he claimed this one as his own. And then he saw me knit it in this one. He's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So, right. So, shockingly, he hasn't claimed this one. He says he'll wear it, but I get to keep that one. So, yeah. But I always want to have a beanie on the go because they're just, that's my comfort and go. So, and I'll believe you when I see it, Miss Shelley, about how I believe that I'll be addicted. No doubt in my mind where it's going to go in my studio when I come home and I want to be able to sit there and spin. I don't know. Can I build the extension on the house yet? No, probably not. So I just have to get rid of some more stuff, make some more room. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to love it. I'll do it in my spare time. All the spare time I have swimming around. It'll be great. I have to do this hat again, but first I need the courage to finish this one. Yes. Yes, exactly. Oh, color work. It is totally for you. Totally. I think the concept of color work is going to be for me. I definitely like the look of it. We'll see. Maybe like a little splash of color work, just a little yoke or something. So that way it's kind of like when I'm doing a hard sampler, I'm like, okay, do some of the hard stuff that I really have to pay attention on and read a pattern and not be distracted and do all that. But then I get down to like the house fill-in where it's like a giant big red house and you're just like filling in for weeks. That's what I want the rest of the sweater to be. I love the beautiful look of like a Fair Isle sweater where it's just colorful work, color work everywhere. But that just looks like it's going to take me 27 years. That's like confetti stitching. Everything is like relatable. You could call it all kinds of things. Is this the only pattern you have? For knitting? Yeah. This is it. Yeah. Because I'm just a newbie, just doing everybody else's patterns, trying to figure it all out. Yeah, there's lots of, I mean, I can give you recommendations if you are ready to, you know, dive down the rabbit hole of a different garment. I've knit lots, not lots. I've knit some of them, and then I feel confident in telling you how to do some of the things. Some of them are harder than others. You know, the first sweater I did was a cardigan. And that sounds scary, but it actually wasn't. And it was written very well. And there was actually Purl Together. Shelly, you know what that lady's name is, but she has a great series on this cardigan sweater, and she knit it probably 10 years ago. The pattern's been out forever. And I basically just watched her videos like you're watching me, and I figured out how to do it. And then there was my second sweater, my green one, which is my favorite, is a Calliope sweater from Espastrico, which is a store in Canada. And they did that sweater pattern as a freebie to sell yarn from their shop. So it wasn't really written in such a way that it was teaching you. You needed to know what you were doing. There's a lot of YouTube University on that one. So I don't have it. Yes, Jana. There you go. Jana from Purl Together. It's called... Yep. I'd have to go back and figure out what the cardigan was called. It was a Tin Can Knits cardigan. It's free on Ravelry. That was my first cardigan. No, I'm not down the hole all the way yet. No. Stick with beanies. Listen, everybody needs a beanie. Or, you know, you know who would do a sock? Shelly's got the heel mastered situation. So if we wanted to do socks, we could probably get Shelly to come teach us Shelly's heel. That's what I called it. That's the only sock that I have that actually has a heel. Now, it's not closed and have a toe yet. No. Maybe I'll have my tool and we can bring it at market and I'll finish a sock. What do you think? Yeah. Shelly can totally teach us the heel. Because I'll probably need a refresher. Because the last time I did my heel was in November. And I didn't take meticulous notes. At least I thought they were meticulous at the time. But here we are like 3 months later. I'm not quite sure I could do a Shelly heel if my life depended on it right now. Don't think I could. Oh, yes. She would totally help. See, I knew she would. Sounds like Shelly's. Look at all that. Isn't that fun? Yes. Everybody's in Shelly's Circle of Friends Needlework Facebook group, right? Because we're going to have a different kind of fun together soon. I don't know if she's... Bring them to market and we'll knit the heels. Okay, good. Fantastic. I'm going to have socks. Forget about all the stuff at the cross-stitch market, at the needlework market, expo and stuff. I'm going to come home with 2 socks. It's going to be great. I'm bringing my beanie. Yay, Zan, bring your beanie. Yes. I can show you that. I can't wait to see it. So fun. I'm taking a stranded colorwork class in April. Oh my goodness. I love that. Many other patterns of beanies. No, I have not made any other beanie patterns because I'm one of those, find the ones that I like, and then I did it. You know, we talked about how I was going to show you some of my show and tell. So this was one. It's a beautiful yarn. It's a Malabrigo. This is the importance of gauge. This was my gauge telltale story. It's a Malabrigo, but it's a very chunky yarn, which I knew, right? And so I did account for it a little bit. I knit this from some Ravelry pattern, but do you see how big that hole is? I mean, I do not have that big of a head. And it should have some negative, I mean, see? Huge. Huge. The good news is is that I can find the end somewhere because it's beautiful Malabrigo chunky yarn. I am going to find the end and unravel it, wind it back up, and knit a nice super it's going to snow today set of hats. The other thing I wanted to knit are fingerless gloves, which is kind of, it's kind of like a sock, but no heel. Maybe that's what we need. Or mittens. Rachel showed mittens on her floss tube, YouTube, whatever they call their podcast. I feel like it's not a floss tube. It might be a floss tube. Rachel and Sue, they talked about it. They had mittens. The thumb's a little tricky, but it can't be as tricky as a heel, right? Oh, bring them to market, you'll fix it. Oh, we're going shopping first. Okay. Have you seen the book called Knitting the National Parks? All the Beanies, neat book. Oh, that's fun. No, I haven't. Gloves are cool. Yes. Yeah, but the fingerless gloves. I know I've actually bought 2 patterns. Again, I just like to, it's like buying charts in the stitching world. You buy the patterns, you support the designers. It's fine. It's great. Her name on YouTube is Wool Needles and Hands. And I forget what her actual name is, but she's a good, beautiful floss. That's not what they call it. Knitting podcast, but it's on YouTube. So it's not a podcast that you listen to. When I think of podcasts, I think it's just this. Anyway, beautiful fingerless glove, campfire, campside. Anyway, I have the pattern. It's great. Yes. Love her. You're going to be busy. That is the story of my life, Lucille. I feel like I am always busy, doing all the things. Like, if I could turn you around, which I can't turn you around because, again, you're on my cute little tripod right now on the stack of the April Keepers. Because my regular floss tube tripod camera is only for stand-up height. And I knew I wasn't going to stand up for an hour. So, yeah. A knitting retreat sounds good. Knitting retreat. Oh, yeah. All the retreats. A knitting retreat and making the retreat. I had, big thoughts of doing just a making retreat just because I like to make all the things. I don't know. Crazy. I know didn't know how you do it. I don't know how I do it all either. Really. And I do sleep. But as you saw, if you watch my vlogs, I don't even know what I was just like crazy fast. I don't know. But I just get her done. I'm one of those people that I don't sit still well. So if I'm awake, I am going, I am doing, I am, but then when it's time to go to sleep, off. I'm either on or off. There's no like, oh, let's just have a lazy, there's things I should be doing. I could be doing, I want to be doing, all the things, Yes, thank you, Gwen. Yes. Oh, Jana has a wonderful retreat in Utah. I've never been to Utah. So many places to go, so little time. All right, friends. Here we got another question. Can I use different needles or do I have to do the needles you use? You talking about size or brand? First of all, you can do whatever you want. Like, there's no rules. No knitting police rules here. I recommend, it depends on, one of those things that I said during the whole thing is there's 3 things that determine your gauge, and it's your yarn. So it depends on how thick your yarn is. Your yarn usually comes, if you're using a DK weight yarn, depending on what you're knitting, how tight you want your fabric to be, the size will matter. Okay, so now you say size. Okay. If you're using DK, I don't have my ball band, and I don't think she says, but DK is usually a size US 4 to a US 6. Because that's kind of what goes with the DK weight, the thickness of this yarn, right? Is a US 4 to US 6. I chose 5 for the ribbing and 6 for the hat. Now, the smaller the needle, if you use a 4, your fabric, your gauge is going to be tighter. You're going to be knitting more stitches to get the same length. So if you're just trying to use what you have, I totally get that. Do it. Definitely do a gauge swatch. and just use the formula in the math and it will spit it out and it will work just perfect. You might be knitting tighter, which is fine. If you're using fingering weight, I know that one of our friends is using fingering weight. I think it was Linda. She's not here tonight. But she is actually using her fingering weight yarn because that's what she found that she liked at Hobby Lobby, but she's holding it double stranded. So that's that. Can I use... I know nothing, so I do what Kari says to do. They asked first DK, like I knew what I was talking about. Yes. I know that Sarah had the same experience when she went to her local yarn shop. She was like, I just need some DK. And that girl, she of course is the yarn dyer and the yarn owner in that cute little shop in Alabama. It was so cute. So yeah, you totally use what you have. If you have a 7 or an 8, Mary, it's going to get a little wide and it means your fabric is just going to have more holes in it, more, I don't know what that, I mean, that's really, it'll just be more open, more spacious, where if you used a 4 or even a 3 with this, it would just be very tight. Remember, there's 3 components to make your gauge. It's going to be the yarn, so the thickness, whether you're using fingering or DK or sports, or worsted, like this is really chunky yarn. And for this one, I used, I don't know, 9 or 10 or 13. I don't remember some huge needle. And so you just want to take that into consideration. But if you're going to gauge, swatch, and measure, you can use whatever you've got. Just know that the math is going to be, you just have to take that into consideration. Yes. Okay, great. Yes. Okay. So friends, I think we've covered all the questions. I'm going to send you guys off into the world of Friday night. Hopefully you're going to get some more knitting done. If you're going to work your way to get to your end of section B, get ready for section C. But again, so that will be up on Monday morning. But if at any point you're like, hold the phone, I don't know what she's talking about, don't worry, I'll be back the following week. And if we need to do a week 4 redo, we're totally going to do it because no problem. Thank you guys so much. I am having so much fun. So no, thank you guys. And I'm not going to say I'm a proud mama, but I was so proud when I was getting those emails in today. I just randomly thought, I wish I thought of that like 3 days ago. I would have gotten so many more pictures, but it didn't come into me until this morning during whatever. And I wanted to share. So we're going to take a Brady Punch shot with everybody's beanies on their head. So just prepare yourselves because that's going to be so fun. You guys are crushing it. And I love the stories of you're saying, never knit, haven't knit in 20 years, been afraid, having so much fun, all the things. It's exactly why I'm doing it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And until next time, happy knitting.